Hey, boys and girls. So, Jefferson Spatchcock, I see you did a JimBob thing, and Stephanie, his 15 minutes of fame are not over. Anyway.
Maybe 14. Maybe 14. He's still got a minute left there.
Yeah, well, JimBob, he's a coward, slimy pig snake who I sent emails to trying to schedule a talk with him. But that isn't what he wants. He wants to do a live stream. He wants me to wait for 3 hours before he decides to post the StreamYard link. And I'm supposed to hang around, and I'm supposed to come on his schedule. And then it's under his control, and it's going to be by his narrative. And so he wants all of these conditions. He's worse than Kent Hovind as far as setting up conditions on which he will talk to you. And then he's gonna fucking try to divert me into a million different talks. Like, do you want to talk about physicalism? Do you want to talk about atheism? Do you want to talk about evolution? One of the three, not all of them at once, and not zipping from one field to another. And if he wants to talk about epistemology under physicalism, fine, we can have that talk. But he's kind of a little scumbag. He's like a weaselly little creepy. Well, he's kind of rapey too. He's talking about Jesus. So him and this, what the hell's the guy's name? Andrew Wilson. They got this whole thing that the only reason that women are allowed to vote and have rights are because men allow them to. And that's the idea, right? And they present it this way. It's like, okay, if you have rights, somebody has to enforce those rights, right? And that has to be a man, because a man is bigger than a woman. So it has to be men. And even if a woman has a gun, her little arms aren't strong enough to handle the recoil. So men are better at shooting guns than women, because women's arms aren't strong enough to handle the recoil. They've actually said this shit out loud.
That's a fucking fallacy right there, isn't it?
Oh my God. And then they have, they make these little tiny guns that you can put in a cigarette pack. And they have, I think they're 22s. They'll kill you dead just like anything else, and they don't have a whole lot of recoil. But and they make them in baby blue and pink. You open up a pack of cigarettes and pull out a little baby blue 22 and shoot one of these fucking macho males in the head, and they're going to be just as dead as, I don't know. Anyway, so the whole thing, now the problem with that is, I don't know. The problem with that is the idea that all of the men in the country are going to line up on one side of the fence, and all the women are going to line up on the other side of the fence, and all the men are going to take away the rights of the women, right? And there's nothing in there about what the units really are. Okay, the units in this country are not individuals, rather they are families and groups of people and communities, right? Like my family, I have 2 sisters, I had a mother, I had a lot of aunts, I have nieces, I have, lots of women in my family. And our whole family is going to fight that battle. Not just me, not just the men. We're not going to all go out there and get our guns and line up. No, we're all going to fight it, and we're going to fight it politically. So this idea that they have that they should somehow all the men are going to line up and we're going to grant women rights or take them away. Therefore, they have to appeal to the patriarchy in order to get rid of the patriarchy. It's like, no, that's not exactly what's happening in this world, in this country. you understand that distinction? That the silliness that all the men are going to get together, abandon their wives, sisters, mothers, aunts, and line up with JimBob and his fucking macho people and grant women rights. That, I mean, anybody who's been married, any man who's been married for a while, is going to admit that he's really not in control of the household because women have a tremendous influence.
Well, and in a way, too, even when the men went off to the battlefield or whatever, the women always, were still there doing all the stuff in the rear. You know what I mean? So it's still a team effort. You need somebody, to bandage the wounded and all that kind of stuff, too. I mean,
and women are now going off the battlefields and, things like
that. Yeah, and nowadays, I mean, there's plenty of women in the military and some of those Israeli women you see getting accosted and they turn around and knock the dude out cold. And I mean, they can a lot of them can take care of themselves just fine.
Yeah, my mom cold cocked my dad with a fireplace poker. My dad never hit her ever, but she fucking nailed him and he had blood all over him. It's like, come on, she just nailed his ass.
Yeah, at least one more round, Deconverted Man.
Also, there's that silliness. They got that whole macho male. Oh, we're bigger and we got some big muscles, so we're gonna. It's like, okay, so now, by that same logic, a group of men with big muscles, like say Gold's Gym, decided to take over the country. You know about Gold's Gym out in California? There's probably a few thousand, maybe 5,000 people that belong to the big muscle builder gym. They could take the country from smaller men, right? So now we're going to divide the country up by who's got the bigger biceps, right? Who's got the bigger guns? Who the hell has ever seen a war work that way? Where only the big men lined up on one side of the field and the small men and the small women were on the other side of the field. It's just stupid. It's just like, jeez. Andrew's wife is a firearm instructor. Oh, yeah, but she can't handle the recoil all that because Andrew said she can't handle the recoil. Like, men are better at weapons.
I can't handle the recoil. That shit hurts. I mean,
I've never shot a 12 gauge and you don't have it up against your shoulder properly, you'll find out. But it's a bit. Oh yeah, we found this. We rented a house and we found this gun. It was a nickel-plated 12 gauge shotgun, automatic. And my one of the kids went out to try it out on the hobby farm, and loaded it up with 6 shells, and pressed the trigger. And it turns out the guy had set it up for full auto, so all 6 shots went off, and the gun was pointing straight up in the air by the time he was done with fighting the recoil on that machine gun shotgun that he found. It was amazing. And then the fucking landlord wanted it back. We wanted to keep that gun. That was a cool gun. Anyway.
Well, yeah, JimBob, and he also tries to play the science card that he's going to say, are you going to say that men aren't biologically, and well, yeah, men, but that's also, an evolutionary aspect too,
Yeah.
We were, hunting the food and the women were cooking the food. But again, it was a team effort, So yeah, I mean, you're out there wrestling the big animals or whatever, and you needed bigger lungs and the bigger muscles and stuff, but it's not, prehistory anymore, and some of the women hit the gym too, and
Have you ever heard of debobbiting? Have you ever heard about a man getting debobbited? What was her name? Bobbit? She cut the guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is he referring to that? Whatever Bobbit?
Yeah, Bobbit. Yeah. I call it debobbiting.
Debobbiting.
Like, you go to sleep and you get debobbited if you fuck up. I mean, women can debobbit you.
I would think that would be called bobbited, and then debobbiting is rushing to the ER to have it put back.
Yeah, well, I'm taking a little license with my
Okay.
little thing, right?
Is my audio better now? I clicked that noise thing. It must have reset. I had it all.
Your audio is really good. You're actually quite loud and present. Oh, breakfast tacos is here. Oh, we should be.
All right. Okay.
I know we should be addressing his arguments, but we're kind of a schlock show here. We don't get around to arguments too often. We could. Let's see. Okay. So arguments. Where are they? Where are the arguments? Let me count the ways. Where do I have it? Let's see here. Like his two premise with a conclusion argument is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I brought it to a logic professor at the University of Minnesota. That's professor associated with the University of Minnesota, and I showed it to him, and he just stared at it, and it looked like his jaw was on the table. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" It was so bad that you just can't even fathom. I mean, you can't even start to address it, right? So I'm trying to find the argument. I'm looking. Where is it? You guys are
something like that. I would think that in a discussion with somebody like JimBob who makes an argument like that,
yeah,
you could say something like, I realize that you have to appeal to a certain type of audience, one that perhaps is not as committed to the idea of rationality as others. So see where that kind of argument that you're making might be persuasive to them, but I'd rather keep my comments in terms of rationality and scientific, verifiability. And that way, you just called him an asshole who only appeals to the crowd and invited him to have a reasonable conversation about it, and identified his rhetoric as basically, just trying to move the crowd rather than, inform rational minds.
Well, that's what the whole thing is. It's the JimBob show, and he's going to use all these tactics. It's like, let's hear from the atheists, and we're going to play reasonable with them, and we're going to show how irrational they are by some silly fucking pseudo philosophy argument that they got, which drives me kind of crazy. Kind of really gets to me. Here it is. Okay.
And it keeps coming around. So you got breakfast tacos with the video. Logic just had a video. AJ just had a video. Mr. Anderson just had a video, and then we were doing our video, and yeah, it's he's annoying a lot of us.
So, Logic and Breakfast Tacos did a really good job of tearing apart his arguments.
Yeah, those were really good videos.
I just found Breakfast Tacos as a YouTube channel, and I was not aware of it before. Were you guys?
No, but I appreciate the link, and I'm sub now. So
I think I've seen the username on Discord here and there.
Yep. Oh, Deconverted Man was the first to be annoyed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you get the prize. You get the secret decoder ring.
Let's see. Why am I annoyed? Why am I so annoyed? It's because there are 400 people listening to him, and then when you go on and you post something in his comments, you have 20 responses from these guys who are, "Oh, you atheists, you just don't have an argument. You have no argument against this incredibly brilliant two premise, one conclusion philosophical paper that completely destroys naturalism." I wonder if all the philosophers out there in the world understand that JimBob has completely handed them the solution to what has been a problem for 2,000 fucking years. I wonder. I mean, this guy is so brilliant. He completely change philosophy with this little argument you see on the screen here. Premise 1, the effects of physics. What the fuck are those?
That's his way of talking about materialism.
Yeah, the effects of physics. Is he talking about a synchronous event, a diachronous event? Is he talking about, something that happens at a moment in time? Is he talking about a process? Is he talking about causality? What is he talking about, the effects of physics? So he's talking about something that exists. So he's talking about something physical, right, is what he really meant. So something physical is neither more true or false than any other physical thing. Well, wait a minute.
Don't the laws of physics make it true?
Well, if you put it that way, like he talks about a tornado and a blade of grass. Now, a tornado can be considered true if you create a proposition. Is a tornado happening right now in my backyard? That's a proposition, and that has a truth. That's a truthy proposition. It has a truth value. So that tornado could be very true if it's currently ripping up my oak trees and tearing my roof off, right? So, but the thing is, you can't go from a physical thing and jump to the category of propositions without making a category error.
Yeah, you're just a thing that exists or an effect, that exists can't be true or false. It just is.
Right.
If that effect is let's say a Doberman pincher, due to chemical and biological processes as well as physics, it's not you could call it a true Doberman pincher, but that's a different word. That's a different kind of true. And you might call it a fake Doberman pincher, but you'd be having to put like a fake nose or fake fur on it or something. It's just a different kind of concept than the kind of true and false that's being referred to here. Effects of physics either exist or they don't.
Yeah.
So they're always true. But that doesn't. But even calling them true doesn't really mean anything. Okay, is there anybody in the live chat or anybody listening that wants to expound on how a material or physical object or phenomenon can be true or can be false? I don't quite see it.
We always go down these roads with these presuppositionalists with these Christians and the people that don't believe in physicalism. And we go down these roads because we're communicating in like two entirely different, completely different clouds, right? And I would like to address them and actually try to explain to them that if you are critiquing physicalism, then you have to critique physicalism within physicalism, right? Because physicalism is a complete worldview of everything being physical, that sort of thing. And that means that if you ask any questions about what something is, then you have to break it down into physical terms. And that's kind of what he's trying to do here, but he doesn't do it honestly. He does it dishonestly. Okay, he's talking about neither more true nor more false. He makes a category error. Now, if you want to create basic, where the hell are we here? Let me just, oh no, I don't want to turn that on. What happened there? Something happened bad. Something really bad. I don't know what happened. PTFS.
Oh, by the way, this is kind of a side conversation right now between me and Speed, but I was looking in Alyssa Nay's book on metaphysics.
Yeah,
she only mentions the topic of physicalism twice.
Yeah,
and I was kind of it's a great general introduction to the topic of metaphysics, but I need to finish that book because I kind of slowed down once I realized how sparse the idea, of physicalism was dealt with so sparsely. But I need to find some good reference material on the ideal of physicalism.
Yeah. So, okay, on the left here, we have a tornado. You see, you like my tornado?
That's more true than everything.
And then we have a blade of grass. Okay, so if the tornado is happening in my yard and it rips out all the grass, then the grass is false and the tornado is true. we could do it that way, right? But what are we really doing there? If we're going to talk about a tornado being true, then we got to have a little guy down here, right? Basically, that's,
Well, I would say, at least at this phase of the English language, it is just nonsense to say that tornado is true or that tornado is false. Well, or that blade of grass is true. No, unless you mean it's perfectly lined up with north, or it's really, really a blade of grass as opposed to all those fake blades of grass out there. I just don't see that as a valid thing to even put into English words.
You goddamn right I am, Dave.
About as good as I can do. No, I'm not knocking it. About as good as I can do.
But what he's asking about, okay, he's not asking about tornadoes and grass and whether or not they're true. He's asking about human beings. And he's talking about, very lofty concepts like universals and abstract things and whether or not they're true. And he's conflating the two. So T or F would be considered an abstract, most people would consider it abstract concept, right? So true or false. But you got this little guy here and he's looking at a tornado in his backyard and saying, Mom, is it true that a tornado's in the backyard right now? Because if it's true, we should go to the basement, right? So that's a human being that has created a proposition. So now if the creationist wants to know about that, if he wants to understand how physicalism does that, well, we have to take this little guy here. And now we're talking about biology and we're talking about neuroscience and we're talking about fucking philosophy of universals. We're talking about all the different theories of truth and epistemology, foundationalism, coherentism. I mean, what the fuck does he want to talk about? You can't just come up with this stupid ass premise and expect somebody to believe that. But here's the fucking thing, guys. He's got 400 people watching him, and they're all agreeing with him that this is a brilliant argument.
Because they agree with his conclusion, which is a belief or a closely held belief. So, yeah, anything that feeds that is good enough.
Right.
Atheists are dumb.
Fits their intuition, right? Yeah, atheists
have bad breath, too.
Yeah, atheists are dumb, and let's degrade women and probably LGBTQ and everybody else they want to make fun of.
Yeah, and the other thing is atheists, I don't know if you can see this or not. Hang on a second here. Atheists.
But it's all good. We can make fun back. So
Atheists eat babies. You see, we're roasting babies there. This represents us. That's the full thumbnail for our little thing here. But yeah, those are babies. Those are little baby ribs. You see that?
By the way,
no, puppies. We eat puppies now.
Because was it breakfast tacos?
No, that's Republicans.
Okay. They eat puppies.
Was it breakfast tacos video that talked about propositions and the things they refer to, their reference?
I think was that Logic?
Maybe it was Logic. I don't know.
No, it was Breakfast Taco.
Because that was a really good note to point out, because it's propositions that are true and false, and It's based on how well they lined up with the state of the referent that they're, dealing with.
Yeah.
The referent here being the tornado and the referent being the blade of grass. It's propositions about them that are true, that can be more true or more false than the other. But I don't know how. I don't really know how they could be more or less true. They either are true or aren't true. But
yeah, it's all true for me. It's right down the line. It's true. What causes it is true. The effects are true. The damage is true. It's all true.
Well, you can look at the thing on the right. That's green. That looks like a really bad Native American headdress, and you can say that's a Cadillac.
I see a totem pole.
It's a blade of grass, you asshole.
Okay, that's a Cadillac, and then my proposition is false, but that's still a blade of grass.
Yeah.
In reality, now my proposition can be that is a blade of grass, and I could be looking at a Cadillac, and so that would be a false proposition.
The conversation that they seem to want to have is about aboutness or intentionality with a T, not with an S. Okay, like when I think a thought, I'm thinking about something. I'm thinking about a blade of grass. I'm thinking about a tornado. So they want to have the talk that they want to have is how can physicalism explain intentionality and aboutness? And there have been hundreds and hundreds of books and papers, thousands, written over the last few hundred years about intentionality and aboutness, right? Like, how can humans think a thought that's about something in the world? That seems to be a problem for them. But for a straight up physicalist, the conversation would go along the lines of how a human organism works, how a brain works. And you would have to explain all of that stuff about how brains develop, about how brains can be about something, how you can think a thought and have it be about something, right? And now you're talking about a relationship between the human being and the blade of grass or the tornado. And I did that backwards, the tornado or the blade of grass. So that's what the conversation that they should be having. But they will never let you have that conversation. They'll gish gallop you and spin you before you can get to that point. You see what I mean? They want you to explain physicalism, but they're never going to stop. They're not even going to let you catch your breath and start.
Because they're going to throw a mind thing back at me. I'm going to say, well, yeah, these things are true, even if there's no one around. But they're going to say, if no one's around, how do you know if they're true? Yeah.
And then we'll be talking about epistemology. And as soon as you start talking about epistemology, they'll start talking about aboutness and philosophy of mind. And as soon as you talk about that, they'll fucking start talking about the Big Bang and the scientific method like they did with AJ. And they will never give you a chance to actually explain how physicalists actually think. Physicalists think in terms of us being a biological organism that has a whole bunch of things going on that represent culture, represent how our minds work, how we perceive objects, how we interact with objects. All of that has to be explained in order to properly dress up our worldview and show you what it really means and how we think about it. But they don't want to have that fucking conversation. They just want to use you as fodder, as a prop for their show, for their idiots in their fucking side chat, who are people.
Even if they're less rabid than this incel group he has, it's basically wanting things to be so simplistic. Oh, this invisible entity that I worship did it all.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't have to worry about mechanisms. I don't have to worry about testing, hypotheses. I just have to feel a certain fuzzy way. There's plenty of guitar players and singers at church to help me feel that way. And And all I have to do when I think about intentionality is think about this little homunculus of a ghost I have inside of me called a soul, and don't have to think about how it works or does it make sense. And so it's basically trying to stop having to think about what you really mean and what you really define with the words that you define in your life.
And in the end, he's going to pull some kind of Darth on you that you have to have the concrete absolutes of what,
Yeah, they want to pretend that everybody
first cause and
everybody is a foundationalist. That everybody needs a foundation on which to base all of their epistemology, and if you don't have that foundation, then you can't have any worldview at all. There's a lot of problems with that, because foundationalism, this idea that you have to base everything on a clear, hard foundation, is only one view in epistemology. It's not a view that I agree with, and I think I'm closer to a found-herentist, which is a combination of foundationalism and coherentist. Basically, that it kind of works like a crossword puzzle. Like when you have a crossword puzzle and you start filling in the words, each word will support the words around it in a network, in a web. And that's basically how human brains work. The way we developed in the world and the way the world fit to us, basically, has to do with how we work as an organism, okay? And we create this web of knowledge, and I always like to call that R1. So R1 is what every human being and raccoon and squirrel has. Basically, they have this reality one. You get to know how objects work. You get to know that objects have a side that you can't see, and you have to walk around them. You get to know things about 3D, space, and time. You understand how time flows, how space flows, all of that. That's all called R1. Your average raccoon is based in R1. Your average Christian is just a little bit above the raccoons. Just a little bit above the raccoon, a little smarter than a raccoon. Maybe smart as a possum. Maybe smart like tractor. I don't know. Not strong like bull. But anyway, I digress. So outside now, what happened with human beings? We had R1, right? And then we started to form this huge cultural collection called science and our understanding of things, right? And that became R2, which is the reality of methodological naturalism. So we have this entire body of knowledge that we now call science. And that I call R2. And R2 can be verified empirically. And it represents the consistency in the universe, right? But then above that, we have metaphysics. Metaphysics? Which is one. Okay. Metaphysics is
better.
Metaphysics is naive metaphysics, right? Real metaphysics is what Alyssa Ney did in her book on metaphysics, right? That was real metaphysics. Metaphysics is you come up with an idea like, brain in a vat, BIV, right? We could be brain in a vat. We could be God could have done it, or aliens could have done it. Or we can invent any fucking kind, or we could say the thunder gods could have done it, or
we all know Bigfoot did it. I mean,
Bigfoot did it, right? Or anything that you can make up, and I call that metaphysics or naive metaphysics, and that's kind of like junior high metaphysics. And it's amazing how many actual philosophers still come up with arguments that are nothing more than junior high M1 metaphysics. The problem with metaphysics is that there's a million of these things, or no, there's an infinite number of models where you could come up with a story or an explanation for R2, for all of science, right? You could say we're a brain in a vat, we're a simulation, we're this, there's a universe, the Big Bang happened, whatever. You can come up with as many, an infinite number of them. So what happens when you have basically, what the hell is it? So only one of them can be true, right? So you have 1 over infinity. So what does that equal to? That's equal to 0. 1 over infinity is fucking 0. So there's no chance that any one of those models, because you can't test the model. These M1 models are created so that they are not testable. They underrepresent what's happening down here. Okay, whereas everything in science does not underrepresent what happens down there. Methodological naturalism basically insists that when you have 2 hypotheses, that there has to be something between those 2 hypotheses that is testable so that you can decide between the 2 of them. And that's what everybody fucking misses. And even people that talk to JimBob, because he gallops you, he'll ask, well, what if 2 people have different hypotheses and they both point to the same evidence? Well, then you have basically your model underrepresents reality. You have to go a little bit further. There's something about one model and another model that is going to be different. They may have some things in common, but they're going to have some things that only one of them represent. And that's what methodological naturalism in science tests for. So if you want to know what the scientific method is, you come up with a hypothesis, and then you find out, you'll come up with more than one hypothesis. You find out what is different between those 2 things. You make a prediction, and then you go out and test it to find out which one works. Does that make sense?
Yep. A lot more sense than JimBob makes when he's talking.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, Deconverted Man is asking for a link.
Deconverted Man. Oh.
There's a Hank Oflamio who wants to, I guess, debate
us.
Seems you have a theist in the audience there, Mike.
Oh, you
maybe want to talk to him.
Yeah. I got to put out a link, and that means we could have, once Deconverted Man gets in here, I don't think we're going to be able to overtalk him. But I put a link out. Let's see, invite guests. How do I invite a guest? Oh, I got to do that thing. Invite up to 10 guests. Okay, is this going to be like the StreamYard link, or because we're pairing, am I going to end up that fucking pairing link?
Oh, actually, I think he's on. This gets confusing because he's on Dave's side.
Oh, he's on Dave's channel. So
come on over to Mike's. Over to Mike's. The link is pinned on top there. Come over to Mike's channel.
You got the link pinned on top of your channel now?
Your channel is pinned on my channel.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's there. Anyway, okay. Those are basically the problems I have with JimBob's, bullshit. I mean, I love to explain physicalism to people and how I justify it, but you got to give me some fucking time. Deconverted Man.
Am I alive? Am I here?
Yeah, you still deconverted?
Of course.
You aren't reconverted?
Nah, they haven't got me.
Oh, come on now. Go watch The Raging Atheist for a while and take your cue from him. You got to bounce back and forth a little bit.
Nah, I'm good. I'm happy being a skeptic.
Oh, you're good. Okay.
Okay, so I thought, I'm Echo. Echo, test 1, 2.
You're not echoing.
Okay, I was echoing in my head.
Okay, what is it? Okay, I don't know what a lupin is. What is a lupin? You want to tell me in private chat who you are?
Lupin?
Yeah, Lupin, let us know who you are and what you would like to talk about.
Is that the guy that wanted to debate?
I don't know.
No, that was a Hank Oflamio, but I'm trying to figure out if he was on Captive Desk or our side.
Lupin came over because I'm going to be on with Lupin later talking about Bigfoots. So Lupin is a theist.
So you know Lupin.
I know Lupin, yes.
So I should let him in.
That's up to you.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah. I know that it's the name of an anime.
I think Lupin knows the atmosphere he's in, so I think he'll be all right.
Hey, Lupin.
Hi, how you doing?
We're doing good. What do you
Hey,
want?
Lupin.
Hey, Captive. Or Dave, whichever you prefer. Don't let me interrupt. I'm just in here listening.
Are you guys going to talk about Bigfoot later?
Yep.
I got to. I have to. Yeah.
You must. Yeah.
It is. It's been on my mind for like 3 or 4 days now. I don't know. Whenever it was introduced. So now I gotta get some questions answered.
Yeah.
The seed is planted.
Yeah.
I had a big power. I had a big.
The seed's been planted, but you watered it a little bit, and now it has sprouted into like some kind of weird supernatural tree.
A supernatural Bigfoot tree?
Yeah.
Wow. That's might be worth taking a gander at when y'all start talking about it.
Maybe
8 o'clock in real time.
So the nearest thing that I've come to with Bigfoot is I once dropped a 30-pound weight on my foot, and my foot was really big for a while.
I'll give you a Bigfoot.
That could also be a flat foot.
Bigfoot. Oh.
Okay, so
okay.
I think you interacted with this guy. Answers.
Which one? JeremyInvictus.
JeremyInvictus. He wants desperately, I don't know, this weird tangent of a thing. Like, you have to, if you don't want to be called a materialist, then you have to give an argument that contradicts materialism, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what are you talking about?
What is he? Yeah, what the fuck is he
like,
talking about?
No, I don't. Look, because he's like, oh, well, atheists are basically materialists. Like, you belong in the same category.
He's basically saying there's so many atheists or materialists, they might as well belong in the same thing.
How do you know that? Like, do you have a wide-scale survey that shows you how many atheists or materialists or physicalists or whatever? No, he doesn't. So you don't know that. You think that that's true, but you don't have a way to show that it's true.
Right.
Anyway, so I told him, look, I can't talk about other atheists. I can only talk about me. I don't have any data samples. I don't know what people believe or don't. I have no idea.
Right.
You know, I said, look, I don't consider myself a materialist, naturalist, only because the classical definition of that I see, like, you know, wiki, whatever, you know, philosophy, dictionaries, whatever, say something like all things are material or all things are physical. And I can't make that statement because I don't know all. I know the observed. I can only speak of the observed. So I can't make the statement all. So I said, I'm not a materialist, so this doesn't apply to me. And then he's like, well, you know, do it anyways. Basically, give me an example of an argument that would contradict materialism. I'm like, I don't need to do that. I don't care about that. It's not my burden. And I explained again. And then he's like, but if you were consistent, then you have to go after the atheist, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, no, okay. Anyways. So it was interesting. JimBob responding to this person. I have no idea who they are that said that they debated me. I don't have any records of debating this person on my channel at all. So I don't believe that they debated me.
Yeah, when I invited him over, he said, "Oh, I'm not even gonna like." I did a video with his name in it, and he
who? Oh, the Jeremy guy.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't even listen to my video.
Oh, of course not.
No,
he switches the burden to this really weird red herring of you have to prove that you have to show an atheist that has argued against materialism.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Just stop categorizing everybody in the same bucket when you have nothing to show that you have no data set to even work on. It might be the case that the majority of atheists are materialists. I don't know. Do you have a wide scale survey? If not, you got nothing.
Yeah, that's called Lance's razor, I think. Lance Bush does this thing where We don't know what the average man thinks about these philosophical concepts because every study they've ever done is so flawed that you can't figure it out. So we have no idea.
But we got into the, I said, look, the whole thing is negated by non-contradiction, and this guy wanted to know how. So I explain how, and then he says, I explained the law, and he's like, well, but can you actually answer the question? I just did. It's a paradox. That's why it negates it. The argument is a paradox. That is the law of non-contradiction. That's why the argument commits it. Therefore, it fails. He didn't. I was like, I just did. He's like, but you're realizing, you're acknowledging the internal critique, blah blah blah, whatever. It's like, no. I said it's not allowed. Paradox isn't allowed. The law holds. You can't negate logic. How do you account for logic? Oh God. Why should you? Yeah. We assume you have basis for any law. What's the paradox?
Okay, hold on a second, Dan. Hold on a second. How do you account for logic? What he's doing there is he's going the burden. He's going up and above. He's meta. He's doing meta on you, right?
Right. Yeah. And I don't need to account for anything.
No.
What does that even mean? What does that mean? Can you define what that means? What does accounting for logic mean?
Yeah.
Explain the source of logic, I guess. Yeah, right, I don't know. Right. I mean, that there's this idea that Precept has. Now, JimBob has his own unique. This is I don't know if it's unique, but it's
no.
But this is a different version of the typical. What the fuck?
What the hell is that?
Oh my God!
Sorry, motorcycle went by.
Oh, kill them! All right, so. So the typical Precept argument is that logic only works if there's a God. If you're going to use, you have to, in order to debate me, you have to use logic to acknowledge that God exists, so I win. So, that's the typical motif of it. And in JimBob's case, he's just doing this, nothing is really true or false unless there's a supernatural realm. Therefore, there's a supernatural realm so that we can have true or false. That's in essence what he's trying to argue, but he doesn't want to come out and just say that. So he's got to codify it and and hide it under a shell game. And I said, look, so I explained, if it's true, it's false. If it's not true, then it's false. So it's false, so it's not true. So it's true that it's not false. And then you keep doing that for infinity. That's a paradox. It breaks the law of non-contradiction. Anyways. And he said, but that's the entire point. Like, no, you can't. Look, here's an argument. So I explain again. If this argument's not sound, then logic doesn't work. Okay? Lobsters exist. Logic doesn't work. There you go. Now, the argument isn't sound. That's for sure. But that doesn't mean the conclusion follows.
Right.
Because it can't follow. Because
no entailment.
You can't break logic using logic. It's not possible. And I did it this way. I said, if God exists, logic doesn't work. God exists, so logic doesn't work. So you can't break even God, if it did exist, would be subject to the laws of logic. So it doesn't matter. And then he said blah blah blah. Then he talks about meta logic, which that's not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's made up completely. There isn't a meta logic. I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. It's about the necessity for conditions of knowledge itself. Blah blah whatever. Learn meta logic. I'm like, you can't save broken arguments from being broken. And he's like, and I told him to justify the thing he's using, justify, because he says, justify your second order knowledge claim with autonomous epistemology, whatever the fuck. And I'm like, no, I'm not playing that game. I'm done. So that's the thing is, you start off with, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm trying, and then I go, okay, I'm going to explain what I'm saying to this guy, Matt. What's the paradox? I explain the paradox. How do you justify that? I'm done. I'm done playing the game because you guys aren't actually interested. At this point, I have to conclude that you're not actually interested in understanding what the problem is. You're interested in feeling like you won an argument, or that you beat the poor atheist or whatever. And I'm not interested in that conversation. I'm interested in getting to the truth of reality. And we, in our discussion that we had, Bob said something like point at knowledge in reality or something. All these weird things that he was asking me to do, they're just impossible to do. And it's just you're asking me what colors does something smell like. It's just like you're just you and so what I also find interesting is the constant switching of the burden of proof and red herrings and all the fallacies. But ultimately I said, okay, fine, how does having a supernatural anything, whatever you want to call God, whatever you want to call that realm, how does that fix any of these problems? No answer is ever given for that question. That's all you need to. So okay, fine. Materialism is broken. Whatever, fine. How does having a supernatural realm fix anything?
Yeah,
you're gonna have the same exact problems. You're just gonna abstract it one level higher than yourself, and then you're not even gonna actually answer any of the questions. Because there's plenty of questions to be asked about the supernatural realm. There'd be physics to that. There'd be laws of logic to that. There'd be ways of that realm working, but they don't talk about any of that. They don't, they're not interested in that. So it's frustrating. The audience that he has either attracted by desire to do so or accidentally over time. I don't know. Who knows? I guess you'd have to go through his catalog and figure out how he got to this point. Maybe he started with this. Maybe he changed over time. Did his audience drive him to this, or did he drive his audience? I don't know. But he has an audience of people that are just, yeah, let's be angry at the atheist, the angry theists. And I've seen the angry atheists too, and I was one of them for a year or so, and I got over it. I grew up, and I matured.
I think whenever I clicked on your channel, wasn't it titled The Angry Atheist or something?
Was it really?
No.
Well,
there is an angry atheist, but it's not me.
There's the raging atheist.
There's a raging atheist.
But he's
he converted to Christianity, I think, or agnosticism at least.
Well, he converted to some kind of theism, and then now he's second guessing that, and he's back.
Yeah. See, here's JimBob arguing that all atheists are actually, Hitler. Oh
my God! Really?
That was that video. Yeah, right there. There it is. It's right there. You see the cartoon? That's him. He's telling us that we're all Hitler and stuff in that video. That's totally him. It's not me pretending to be him either.
So I recognize that lobster picture.
Yeah.
I need to do some housekeeping here. Those comments that you were showing, what video were those from?
That was the video where you had the discussion.
Minecraft?
Let me go. Yeah, that was Minecraft, but I'm God.
Minecraft, but on God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'll put that in the thing. That was this one in private chat there.
Okay.
That video, the one where you got destroyed by me video of all the comments are in there, and there's but yeah, that I thought that's what I would wanted to share to add to anything. Now it might be interesting to talk about the laws of logic in a physical, materialistic way, because I don't know how you would phrase that or how you would view that.
Because
they're called non-physical, and I made a little short video like what I view that like as a label. Like it's just like we ran out of labels or something, you know. That's how I view it. You know, it's like it's so the law of identity existed, I think, before the universe existed. If there is if that is even a thing that can be, you know, but it didn't exist in that sense. Like, it's a rule of reality, you know. So that's the best way I can put it. What would be a better way of putting it, you know, that you have there?
Yeah, we could. Okay, before we get to that, though, I want to explain a kind of atheist that is not a materialist or a physicalist. And when I was 6 to 8 years old, my mother took me to Presbyterian church. And right about that time, I found out Santa Claus did not exist, right? And she took me to this church.
What?
They were telling me, yeah, no, I'm sorry, Dan.
God damn it!
Yeah, fuck. Okay, spoiler.
Deconverted from Santa.
Okay, so anyway, I was listening to all these stories about Noah's Ark and fucking Jesus rising from the dead and all that stuff, and I was also coming into my own, reading science books at the same time and reading things that I actually thought were plausible. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I just don't believe in this story. And I didn't know what a physicalist was or a materialist, and I'd never thought about everything's physical. I probably still would have believed in ghosts, you know, that possible that, you know, my grandma's, because we had this creepy picture in our farmhouse of my grandma who died when I was 6 years old, and her eyes would follow you around the room. And, you know, so I mean, I was an atheist back then. And my mom actually gave me that term, atheist, because she had heard it somewhere. She said, Mikey, you're an atheist. And it's like, oh, really? I just don't believe in your shit, Mom. I don't believe this fucking story. So that's one thing. Okay. And logic. Logic is kind of interesting. I wonder if I have a definition of supernatural. And it works like this, okay? Everything that you learn in R1, that reality one that I talked about, the things that you learn about navigating the world, about how to feed yourself, how to wipe your butt, how to, you know, do anything in the world, right? It's based on the idea that the world is consistent, that there are consistent rules and logic. And those consistent rules are what represent logic, okay? We've come up with a mathematical version or a conceptual version of how the world works. Now, we can never be sure that consistency is going to be here tomorrow morning when we wake up. And that's the problem. That's Hume's problem of induction, that you're relying on that regularity. So in a sense, I can tell you that as an atheist and a physicalist, I have great faith in the consistency of the universe. And when I argue with a Christian, he is making the same presuppositions as I am that logic works, because he's using logic to try to argue with me, right? So, I mean, there's no question that logic is what we have to presuppose in order to talk to each other. But if you look around, the consistency of the universe is what creates logic in our minds. You cannot have a cup that is here and over there at the same time, right? That's just the way material things work. So logic is derived from the physical universe. And in that sense, I would say that it's not really an abstract. Well, it's an abstract version of reality, basically, but it is represented physically. Yeah. And if you want to argue about where did logic go, well, okay, what do? They pick an M1 concept and they say God created logic. And
yeah, that doesn't work though, because so they're called non-physical, and I think that's kind of like where you have the word theory being used in different ways by the average dude and the scientist dude, and it's like we need a different label for it, because non-physical makes people go, oh, so laws of logic, they're not physical. Maybe God's not physical either. I'm like, yeah, but then if that's If you're reducing God to not physical, then you're saying that God is like the laws of logic, then it doesn't have a mind. It just is. It's just like,
it's just,
and that doesn't do anything. Like the law of identity, non-contradiction, etc. They don't do anything. They're just that's how reality is. And
that's no different than making up a unicorn, and the unicorn created logic, or the lobster created logic, or whatever.
Because you have to have logic first. You can't create it. It's always there.
Yeah, it's one of these M1 things up here.
Logic is
metaphysics. Metaphysics. So there are some things that we just have to accept, and one of those things is basically the consistency of the universe. We accept that, and so, oh my goodness, what did I do?
You're just assuming that it's going to be consistent. Yeah, well.
No, I'm not assuming it. I have faith. I have faith, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it could be different tomorrow. We'll all be screwed if it is,
Right. I mean, like, I could walk into my bathroom right now and space-time would dissolve in front of me, and I would dissolve with it. And
I told you not to take that pill.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those mushrooms.
That's what happens when you take the blue and red pill at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking more, how'd you get a black hole in your bathroom? But
yeah. I mean, everything could go to hell at any time in the universe, and some days I sit around and I worry about that.
Well, we know how he got the hole in his bathroom.
Yeah, I think Joe just said something yesterday, and I said, that's relatively stable, a time in Earth's history and everything. And I said, yeah, but somewhere out there there's a big old space rock saying, hold my beer.
Yeah.
But
the way that reality really is far more interesting than the stories that we make up about it.
It is, because there are rules to it, right?
It's complex, confusing, intricate. There's a lot to learn. There's more to be discovered, and like we were talking. I told you about that guy that I would love you to debunk his stuff. The guy that's talking to his camera, pretending that that's his, a students or whatever. That dude. Whatever his face is. What I'm talking about.
So, Scott, are you having a talk with this, what is the name, Raflameo or no, Offlameo? Raflameo.
The rolling on floor, laughing my ass off?
Yeah.
Flameo. And, I'm just kind of trying to get at what his, what he wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Roy Sorenson wrote a paper called Fictional Theism. So
Stephanie says she's a moderator now on the line on Jimmy Snow's network.
Oh no!
And so she moderated the call between I guess it was Hank and then Forrest and Paul. Paul Agia, who were the host last night on, I think they call it, I don't know, Sunday After Dark or something like that. That was their little evening show. And apparently I missed the entire conversation, so I'm going to have to go find it and listen to it. Plus, he pointed to a Phil Talks paper.
Fictional Theism, right?
Yeah, about fictional theism. Basically, the paper is by Roy Sorenson. I'm going to read the abstract, if I may. It's a pretty short abstract. Creationists believe that C.K. Chesterton created Father Brown in his detective stories. Since creating implies a creation, Father Brown exists. I think this may be a parody. This is from 2015, by the way.
Yeah.
Atheists object that for the same reasoning could prove the existence of God. But atheists object that the same reasoning could prove the existence of God. but creationists such as John Schaeffer insist atheists do believe that God exists. Oh, I wonder if that's a relation to Francis Schaeffer. Serious metaphysics rarely concerns existence. The disagreement between the theist and the atheist is about the nature of God, not his existence. Schaeffer underestimates the religious imagination.
Yeah,
that's religion that explicitly regarded God as a fictional character. The tenets of this presently hypothetical religion are developed into my dialogue. Okay, so
what?
this seems like some mental self-pleasuring, but I guess that just kind of defines me. My initial assessment based on the abstract is still skeptical. They do mention Peter Van Inwegen, so there might be some credible talk going on.
I've heard this before in different ways, that atheists aren't arguing against the real God. They're arguing against this other God that isn't real. I've heard that before.
What did I download? Because this doesn't look like the paper, but I got the DOI. I have no idea how to find it.
Well, right now it's I've got a page. It's Oxford Academic Journals. It says analysis across the top.
Yeah,
that may be the name of the journal.
Can you link it?
Well, you can link the DOI, but I think you would.
Yeah, but the DOI gets you this if you go to. Well, I'm not going to tell you how I got it.
Okay, all right. Well, is that the article?
I
or
don't
is that
know.
Just an interview?
Yeah, 547 pages. Oh my god!
Well,
that's at least one video worth.
John Lennox uses the argument that all the other gods are man-made.
Oh yeah,
but not his God.
Of course.
No.
Yeah. And then the atheists aren't arguing against our God; they're arguing against a different God, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Put that in
Whatever.
Sci-Hub. Hank says to put it in Sci-Hub. And do you mind if I call you Hank Oflamio?
Yeah, I did put it in Sci-Hub, and this is what I got, this question and answer thing. I'm not sure.
Okay, so how many actual pages is it?
Not that many. There's only...
It could have been an interview.
It looks like about 14
The section
pages.
is only 12 pages.
Kind of weird to start off with your credentials. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see what I got here. What do I got? Fictional Theism by Roy. Okay, sign me up. I mean, this is something else, and I don't know what the hell this is. I'm trying to figure it out. Let me see if this gets sensible later on here. Rational responsibility and acertoric character of bald-faced lies. What the fuck? I don't know what I downloaded. But that's what you get if you put the DOI in, and I don't understand why. This is bad. This is bad. Creationists believe that C.K. Chesterton created Father Brown as detective. Okay.
We need a Bigfoot emoji.
Yeah. I'm trying to find something that I can show here, and I cannot find it. So, Hank Oflamio, you see my problem? I cannot find it. Pages 539 to 550. And apparently I got some other bastardization of that. I don't know what. Not sure. Well, let me try to find that. And, we can take a look at it. But the thing is.
Of course, Hank, real quick, Hank, if you have a copy of it and just want to email it to answersinAtheism@gmail.com.
No.
Oh, you can't get to that. You can't get to that. Never mind.
Speed of
nice.
Yeah, I'll give you my email. I'll put it in the chat.
If you've already got a copy, that would save us having to search for it. Okay, he has the PDF link. That's great.
Oh, you do? Did you?
Yeah.
Did he put it out?
He hasn't. Well, he's not a moderator, but yeah, there's Mike's email address, Hank.
Okay, Hank, I'm going to make you a moderator. Add as moderator. Standard moderator. Standard. Okay. You're a moderator now, so you can put links out.
That didn't work.
What?
Oh, nothing.
Oh. Sasquatch.
Yeah, I was like, that didn't work.
My apologies, Stephanie Holmes. I did not realize that you'd been on the line for so long. I didn't know that either. I wasn't sure. Okay. I hear Tweety
There it
birds
goes.
outside.
There we go.
What?
That's me. Yeah, I got it. Found it. Yeah.
You found it?
Yeah, it's a Bigfoot, you know.
Oh.
A couple big feet. I don't know.
What?
Wait a minute. What the fuck?
Did Edward G. Robinson come back from the dead and he's on our channel now?
Huh? What are you talking about?
What's happening?
I don't know.
Okay, it's the same thing that I got before. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay, is this the paper?
That may be all we have.
Fictional theism, but okay, it starts out with a Q&A. It doesn't start out with an abstract.
How's it MD on your channel, but DM over here? What the bleep?
It's
happening?
somehow mirrored.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Restream has a mirror thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so this is what I got for the paper. Is that what it looks like, Hank? I don't.
I think that's what he read. So
I just graduated with a PhD in cultural anthropology.
I'm just gonna put out stuff that's like I have a PhD in whatever, you know. Just say.
Yeah.
Stuff. I'm just gonna say stuff. Why not? You know.
Human beings created God, therefore God exists. Well, yeah.
What?
Said yes, that's the paper, Mike.
No shit.
Well,
that premise supports atheism rather than theism, not according to the logic of creation relation. Create is a two-place relation requiring the existence of create. Oh my goodness.
So if you change the definition of create
and change the definition of God,
then God exists.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, okay, if I'm an atheist, I have to have somebody who believes in a particular God around in order for me to be an atheist about that particular God. So the problem with being an atheist is that you have to, first of all, get a God to pick on, right? What the fuck is going on, Dan? What happened?
We did that. Deconverted Man has a lobster, and I have a Bigfoot. I mean,
yeah,
we did that. That didn't make any difference.
I don't believe in the fucking lobster, and I don't believe in the fucking Bigfoot. So I'm an atheist around both of you guys.
See, that's your problem.
No,
gosh.
Yeah, that's my problem.
You like raccoons. You could, you know.
I could, oh yeah, I could find a raccoon god.
There you go.
Anyway, I lead a dual existence. Oh, it's Bree. Bree's in here. Who do we got?
I was on with Bree the other night. In case y'all missed it, we were talking about the Loch Ness Monster, and we had a nice panel on there, a nice conversation. So go check that out.
I just graduated with a PhD in cultural anthropology. That's nice. What? I mean, you don't. Hi, my name is Ken Hovind. That's a great way to start. L.A. Oh, this is like he's talking to somebody? What the
Create is a two-place relation. Okay, something creates something else. Okay, that is topsy-turvy creationism. You put people on top, God at the bottom.
Huh?
Okay, Leo's here. Hi, Leo. Leo.
And the ape is there too.
Who's here? Oh, Trusty Ape's here. Hi. How are you doing? I'm not paying attention to chat close enough. I should be paying attention to chat.
Mm.
Will Freeman already worships the raccoon. Oh, that's right. Will Freeman and the raccoon god.
Oh yeah, maybe not a raccoon.
Yeah, maybe.
What else you got? What else you got hanging around there?
I don't know what I missed, but why did Bree need to mention Donald Prothero. He's a pretty cool guy, at least in his speeches and
Yeah.
interviews.
I have never seen more than one possum at a time. So I'm pretty sure the possum that comes around is God.
I've seen little families of possums.
Well, yeah, I saw one with some little possums riding on its back, but that's not the same. Those are fetus possums. They don't count as possums. Fetus possum.
We're going to get into that debate.
You stinking paywalls. How is this even a thing behind a paywall in the first place?
This thing? Yeah, I know.
This is nonsense. I could write something better than this.
Well,
how do I write something and then get it put behind a paywall?
Don was the person that was on the panel with us the other night talking about Nessie. He had a lot of great stories.
Okay.
I think he's a paleontologist, if I remember right, and
yeah,
he visited Loch Ness and everything. It was really interesting. So check it out.
He's a real seems to be a real good thought leader in the skeptical community.
Smart guy. Yep.
What the hell was that?
A lot of great anecdotes. We had a nice chat.
Oh,
there was a couple other folks there. Thomas was on there with us. He has a nature channel, and Nikki was on with us. She has a Bigfoot channel, and of course Bree has her cryptid channel. So we all had a like-minded conversation. It was a good time.
Yep, Reggio's that. Yeah, you're right. That would be a category error.
Journal article. How do I submit a journal, the thing to get into this? I mean, if he can do it, then anyone can do it.
Anybody can do it. Well, Raw Matt tried to do it by just copying the logo. Yeah. He took a picture of what the hell was it? I forget what it was. It was some biological journal. He just took a picture and put it on his paper. He just copied it on there, and then he said he was a published author. Remember that fiasco?
I remember that.
Yeah, we actually caught that on this channel. And
I seriously, like, how do you submit to this thing? How do you get in there? I want a thing. I want to put a thing in there.
Put a thing in there on Lobster.
You go to the website and they'll talk about how to do submission.
Yeah. Do you have a paper manuscript that you can submit in which you've performed research?
Yeah.
You don't.
Well, that's not what he did.
You don't have
no, it's fill papers, Leo, so anybody can.
You still need a manuscript, and no, not anybody can submit to it.
Well, anybody can submit a manuscript on philosophy.
That does not mean that you're going to be accepted into a professional level paper. That's not how that works.
True. Well, how did this guy get accepted?
This guy got in.
Because he has a professional paper. Having a professional paper does not mean you wrote about anything interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what makes this professional?
The fact that it was submitted by a professional philosopher through the right processes for Oxford University Press.
Okay, so he's got a PhD, so he was able to do it that way.
And he also went through the process for submitting a paper to the journal.
Wiki.
So basically, once you have the required expertise, you can use that to submit.
And you go through the right processes that journal requires for submitting work.
Right. And then
even if you don't have a PhD, you have to go through that process. If you don't, you're not getting anything published.
Yeah. But once you do all that, you can submit any nonsense you want.
No.
Okay, he's a professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and philosophical history. He's a professor of what?
It looks like nonsense to me, but all right.
Seeing dark things, of philosophy of shadows, a brief history of the paradox, philosophy, and the labyrinths of the mind. He's written a bunch of papers. So
somebody wants to know where the hell you've been.
All right, I got.
He's been debating flurfers. That's where he's been.
Okay, Dan.
Leo can't get enough.
Later.
I had like 2 in the last.
Later.
That's too many.
I've had enough.
I'm not seeking out debates with flat earthers. They want to debate specifically me. I guess a lot of them have like some sort of like BDSM thing going on or something.
Debating a flat earther is kind of okay. Debating a flat earther is kind of like going to like preschool and trying to debate a toddler. I mean,
not if you're debating somebody like Whitsitt. Whitsitt is not somebody who's easy to debate.
Really?
Just because he's a flat earther does not mean he automatically sucks at debating. That's not how it works.
Oh my!
I've seen a lot of people try to take on somebody like Whitsitt and not look very good doing it.
Well, this guy did the same thing. This Roy Sorenson. So apparently, he came up with a really
the same thing as what?
The same thing as a flat earther that's good at supporting flat Earth.
Well, I don't know what the fuck you're looking at. I don't even know why.
Well, some guy in the chat told us to look at this paper.
So, you always listen to random people in your chat?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
When you do that, that's a bad way to get your channel taken down because that's how you get porn bombed.
There you go. Well, fuck, I let you in. I mean.
Yeah, but I don't porn bomb.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Not that you would see much anyway.
I remember you had one talk once when I left the fucking room on a Saturday night at the Atheist that I could have banned you for. Remember that?
But you didn't.
We don't want to talk about it.
I don't even remember what the fuck it was about.
I know you don't. How you been?
Fine.
Did you get any tornadoes down where you were at? Did you get that wild weather? No.
Well, in Iowa, but not in my part of Iowa.
Yeah. Okay. But well, it was outside of Des Moines somewhere, wasn't it? The tornado touchdown.
I have no idea. More than one touchdown. So I mean, the only one I know about is the one that ripped through Minden, which was like either an F4 or an F5. Oh no, sorry. Let me correct myself. EF4 or EF5, because it's the same thing, but enhanced. Right. You can't see me doing the air quotes when I say enhanced, but yeah, they're there. They're definitely there.
Yep. Oh, works by Roy Sorenson. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of works by Roy Sorenson.
I want to.
We still got sun here. It's been breezy all day, but the sun's been out. So
yeah, same here in Iowa. I don't know what state you're in, but we're supposed to get rain like at 11 or midnight tonight or something like that into the morning. But I'm in Ohio. Okay. I wanted to say something to one of Blaster Master's comments. He says I can only take so much flat stuff. Same here. But again, it hasn't been me seeking out these debates. It's either Modern Day Debate asking me to join, or it's the flat earther is requesting, like in the case of Ross, when I debated Ross, he requested specifically me. He wanted to debate me. So there's that. And also, I've asked, like Ryan, who works with MDD quite a bit. I've also mentioned a couple things to Justin, who I think has some ties in there, that I want more like Christianity versus naturalism, does God exist, debate, stuff like that. And they have a bunch, but they're giving them to other people, which not that big of a deal. But I mean, if you had somebody specifically asking for those kinds of debates, you'd think that maybe. Anyway, I don't run the channel, not my problem. So, but yeah, I'm asking and have been for quite a few months for debates on other topics. I just am not getting put in any of them.
So, Hank, I'm putting a link to Roy Sorenson's papers in the description.
Why do you guys care about this? What interest does this serve to anyone?
The names of his papers. He's got a paper on. Well, I care. Yeah, he's got one on blind spots, one on thought experiments.
What does it matter?
Vagueness.
Probably
vagueness and contradictions. Seeing dark things, the philosophy of shadows.
Well, here's the order of events. Hank asked if we wanted to debate him because he's going to debate Forrest Valkai or whatever. And I said, well, what do you want to debate about? He said fictional theism. I said, can you give me a summary of what that is or point me to some information because I've never heard of it. And so this is that information. This is the guy who wrote about fictional theism.
The thing is, if you Google it, you get one thing and one thing only, and it's this. So what that tells me is that there really isn't such a thing as fictional theism.
It hasn't caught on since 2015, at least.
That's what it's not. It's probably not that it hasn't caught on as much as nobody's looking at it because they don't care. Like philosophers don't care.
My initial impression was very skeptical.
So, what's his name came up with a paper called "The Egg Came Before the Chicken," which looks pretty interesting. Pre-chickens and the chickens began. Okay, vagueness theorists tend to think that evolutionary theory dissolves the riddle: which came first, the chicken or the egg? After all, the chicken is vague. The idea is that Charles Darwin demonstrated that the chicken was preceded by borderline chickens, and so it is simply indeterminate as to where the pre-chickens end and the chickens begin. Now that sounds like a paper worth reading, Leo.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't it?
I mean, if you're interested in the philosophy of which came first, chickens or eggs, which is not even a thing, sure, read it. But if you have any interest in anything that actually like meaningfully matter, no sanity, any of this guy's papers.
Like my sanity, yeah, yeah. He sounds like a real wordsmith, and he's doing a lot of concept twisting, and he's apparently very good at it. And I don't know. I appreciate people like that do that sort of stuff. The thing right in front of us that we were looking at, it doesn't exist because, of course, it takes at least 200 milliseconds to actually see the motherfucker.
No, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Oh, you got a link to the egg paper. Let's see here. Okay, link to the egg paper. Thank you.
And what the fuck is the argument in this egg paper? Like, what's the fundamental argument in the paper?
I have no fucking idea.
Or the point that's being made.
I'd have to really read it in order to figure
No, I was asking Hank. He's the one linking to it. Like, what's the point? What's the point of this? What does it do? What does it show? What new idea does it bring to the scene that's useful?
He could be a Jerry Fodor kind of guy, doing word games on naturalism and that sort of thing. Could be that.
Jerry Fodor was a type of naturalist. I could be wrong.
Has Leo been on with JimBob yet?
Pre-chickens were
dude, I talked to JimBob I was on his channel, but last year, or maybe it might have even been earlier than that, but I thought it was like early last year. It's on my channel. It's called General Relativity and Philosophy of Science, a discussion or a talk with JimBob, made by JimBob. That actually, I thought was a pretty good discussion. I went on to his channel again, probably 2, maybe 3 months ago. Andrew Wilson was on. God damn it, I know his fucking name, and now I'm going to forget it. But he was on there, and then it was JimBob, and then it was me. That was just kind of boring. That didn't really, Grayson came on later, but for the most part, it's kind of just boring discussion. They want to
see everybody's been over there. We don't have to feel bad, Mike.
Yeah, we don't. Okay. So you have, I'm trying to find your paper, or your video on JimBob here. Let's see. Let me look at JimBob. Oh no! I put it in the wrong thing. I'm losing it, man. I'm losing it. Hey, tomorrow I get a big test. Tomorrow, find out if I'm dying or not.
That's right. Tomorrow's the day.
Tomorrow's the day. It's going to be good. Let's see.
It'll be good. They'll fix you up.
Well, if they find something wrong, they're going to fix me up. So.
Yeah, they'll fix you up.
Yeah. Who knows? So apparently, the Apple Watch.
We got a lot of this dumb shit to address. So, you got to get your blood flowing there. So
right now,
peak operative performance and everything.
Right now, only one beat of my heart out of 3 is getting blood to my brain. So I have half my brain tied behind my back right now. So,
get you juiced up.
Okay, I got it, Leo. I got it. I'm going to link that in my description.
You better watch it too. You get fixed up with that extra blood flow. You better watch it on the shrooms too.
Oh yeah.
You better cut that way back because it's gonna go bam.
Yeah. No. If I have like all of my brain working, I have to do twice as many shrooms or 3 times as many.
And sorry to hear that, Blaster. Blaster had to put down his dog today.
Oh,
that's always tough.
That is one of the toughest things.
It's been about a year since I had put my my old boy down, and it's still I'm still looking for him. It's like, where's he at? Yeah.
Dozer. I still go upstairs sometimes, and or I go to McDonald's and like I used to order, one
in the morning. Okay.
One double quarter pounder for Dozer and for the rest of us. And then I'd come home and I'd give him his quarter pounder and he'd just go, woof. And then he'd look at me like, where's my other one? Like, fuck you, dog. I paid $9 for that.
If you're gonna put your dog down, though, remember, stay there with him.
Oh yeah,
it's the least you can do.
Yeah, shit.
If you really can't do it yourself, send it to South Dakota. There's a governor there that would do it for you.
Well, wait a minute. No, it doesn't.
Dark humor.
She prefers to kill puppies.
Those are puppies. Okay. Yeah, it's got to be a puppy.
And not only that, but it's got to be a happy puppy that's having the time of his life before you put him down.
There's memes going around with buses full of dogs, and they're all leaving the state. And
Minnesota shares borders with both Dakotas, and that really worries me. I'm worried that they're going to come across the border. I mean, we don't have to worry about the Iowans. They can't find Minnesota, but fucking North Dakota and South Dakota, they're scary. They're frightening. Zing, Leo.
Huh?
Oh, you missed it. Good. Whatever. Give her some scrambled eggs. Oh my God. Oh yeah, I fed Dozer a porterhouse steak the night before he died. So, and he wolfed that fucker down. Gone. Yep. Anyway, okay, guys, I think we're gonna get out of here.
I wanted to ask, what was it that JimBob did or said that y'all were responding to?
Oh fuck! His arguments against naturalism and physicalism are just so juvenile that he kind of drives me crazy.
I got sucked in on the mind brain.
Yeah, he's
argument.
So sure of himself. He's so sure of himself. And he's talking garbage. And when he starts arguing with you, he switches from one category to the other. He just does category leaping like crazy, and it drives me nuts. And then the other thing is him and what's his name, Andrew Wilson's attack on feminism is just extremely cringy.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson's not even worth listening to.
Oh. And then JimBob was on what the fuck's his name? Alex Jones' show the other day. I mean, my God, talk about scraping scum off your boots.
Hey, have you checked his membership or subscription numbers? Has that gone up?
Oh, it probably has.
Oh, JimBob?
Yeah, that would be something interesting to see.
JimBob, where's JimBob?
Wasn't he like at 18 or something like that?
Oh, he's up to 15.5.
15 and a half, so he's right around
15.
where he was last time I was on his channel.
He's gained about 500, I think, in the last few days from going on Alex Jones. I mean, that's where the incels gathers at JimBob's channel. They're just, yeah, hooligan. I'm here for Leo. Yeah,
I watched his arguments against atheism, problem of evil video, and it was just, God, it was so fucking bad.
I know.
It's shocking to me how willing a lot of theists, particularly Christians, are with respect to just openly revealing how fucking little they understand the argument from evil. Right.
Or how little they understand physicalism too. That's the other thing that drives me crazy. They just don't get it. To them, they're looking at it like through their Christian lens, and they're saying it's contradictory. And of course it is through the Christian lens. But Jesus Christ, no physicalist does that, right? So it's like telling us that we have contradictions in our worldview is ridiculous. It's just bad. Anyway, so what else we got to cover before we get out of here?
You want to hear about Bigfoots being shapeshifters and everything? I'm going to talk at 8:00 with Lupin there.
On your channel or whose channel?
On his channel.
Tonight?
What you know and see, is that the name of the channel?
You got a link?
It's,
He did it earlier.
Did what?
Yeah, I put it up earlier. I got it right here.
Okay, I got to put it in my description, and we got to put it out again. We should put it out again. Anyway, Leo, you doing anything?
When?
I don't know. Soon.
Not that I know of. No.
Okay. Have you been doing like regular things? I saw you not too long ago.
Like, what do you mean?
Like videos. Have you been
on my own channel? No, I've been too busy with other things.
What are you doing? I was wondering.
Real life stuff.
Real life?
Mm-hmm.
You have a life?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if I didn't, because I would have not existed if I didn't.
Shit. Okay.
You still taking classes, Leo?
When have I ever been taking classes?
You've been.
I don't know. I just assumed, I suppose, because you're such a smart feller that you were in college. But,
I am not taking classes. I don't take classes. I haven't taken classes since 2015.
You were doing self-study, right?
Yeah, that's how I learned about 90% of the things that I know.
Yep.
That was
just good.
I thought you were just a starving student.
No, I'm too poor to be a college student. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Or too smart to go into debt.
I just won't go into debt. I shouldn't have to.
That's right. Let's see. So, let's see. I want to put the name of the channel. Okay, I'm going to try to post this for you, Dave, in my description. See now and know. That's the name of it. So, is this guy like a Bigfoot believer?
No, he's a serious theist. They pray a lot and everything. But he was on with the Missing Mod, and he was cool with me. And he was just laughing hysterically when I was talking about Bigfoot stuff. And so,
okay, which guy don't I want to have a wrench?
Pretty sure the one that I'm going to be talking to.
Oh, I haven't given him a wrench, have I?
No, you're going to Hank.
I think he was on my channel.
I think
or the other. Oh, Hank. Yeah. She said he phoned in to the line or something, maybe, Stephanie said, and was not the greatest guest. So just fair warning, I guess.
Just as long as get to destroy force view.
Yeah, Hank.
Why would anyone even go so far to entertain Hank on such a ridiculous concept? Like, why would you waste your fucking time and energy?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we're accommodating. We like to accommodate anybody.
You gotta try, I guess. You know.
We got to live in the problem is they get to vote in our country, so we got to talk to them.
Well, so
no, you know,
some men you just can't reach, but I think most people you can. So it's at least worth a try. And if you're just gonna get,
But what's entertaining about debating like an idea nobody fucking knows or cares about? Right. I just don't understand why people do that.
It's fun.
Like flat Earth.
I talk about Bigfoot all the time.
Flat Earth, and everybody likes debating it because it's fun.
Yeah, that's why I talk about Bigfoot. North America, we've kind of adopted Bigfoot as our hometown cryptid type thing. You know what I mean? And a few areas aside, like where Mothman is and stuff, but it's just for fun. So it's enjoyable and.
So Hank, I don't understand why you didn't come in. We give you a link. But it's too late now because I'm like sundowning. I'm sundowning.
Well, I was really just wanting to kind of get an idea of what he wanted to talk about before letting him come in. But yeah, I don't think today's the day to do any discussion of fictional theology or whatever.
Yeah, Mike's already got ants in his pants. So
shoot me an email, Hank, and we'll arrange something and we'll talk if you want. I'd love to talk to you. I'll put my email in again at gmail.com. That's my personal email. It's a good way to get a hold of me. Also heavily dox myself. I doxed all over the fucking place. Anyway, so far I'm not worried that the theists are going to come and try to kill me. Right? and
that's one of my favorite videos. One of my favorite Sal videos is where he put the thing out that he had, I think it was you and Jay's name and some other people on a list in a safe deposit box in case something happens.
Like, so I'm not going to waste my fucking money on an airline ticket to come out and assassinate you. It's like, Jesus Christ. Talk about taking yourself too seriously. My goodness. Anyway. Okay. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, and one other thing. This Saturday, Missing Mod will be on the Grassman Chronicles talking about Dogman. So good. Check that out on Saturday.
I love a good Dogman. Dogman, that's kind of what I thought of my old man when he got drunk and came out on a Saturday night out of the bedroom. Like, he was like a fucking Dogman.
Well, we're hoping this is a good omen. From what I'm not going to let too much on, but I did a little reading on that. This specific one might be a good omen to the Native Americans. So we're gonna figure it. We're gonna figure it out.
Okay, good. Have to watch. Okay, let's get out of here. End stream.
Later.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, thanks guys. Goodbye, cruel world.